first thing is that we have been doing this as part of our healthcare programs, that is drawing down Medicaid dollars, getting the 50% match for 40 years. There's nothing new in this proposal. This is not the mandate that people complain about. This is not a business tax. There's no privacy concerns related with healthcare reform. This isn't the federal healthcare reform bill. This is something we've been doing in Minnesota for 40 years, and we're just applying the rules, which other states are already getting the opportunity to do, including our neighbor in Wisconsin. They're already getting paid for these single adults under a waiver they got a while ago. This is just Medicaid program applied to a little bit of a new population. It helps Minnesota. So the argument that is made that this is buying into federal healthcare reform is simply false. And the other thing that's really important is that the difference between doing what we could do with the early option and what we're going to do under the current GAMC program, the status quo, the main difference is that we're actually going to pay hospitals and doctors a reasonable amount for the services that they provide. And why the Republicans are opposed to paying doctors and hospitals a reasonable amount for the services they provide, I really can't understand. So I think it's really important that we keep these facts very clear, that this isn't federal health care reform. We would like to lump it in with Obamacare, as they call it. It's not that. This is something we've been doing for 40 years. This is paying doctors and hospitals a reasonable amount of money. That's where most of the money is going to be spent on, and that benefits every single one of us. And the Republicans voted for this, promoted this, proposed this exactly this time of year last spring. This exact proposal was on the table in an amendment that they offered, and so to be switching their position right now, there's only one explanation, and that's politics, and that's not good for Minnesota.
And if I could just sum up, I think Representative Zellers actually put it best. January 8th, as I said on midday on NPR, he and I think many of the press have the transcript. If you do not, our press folks can get it to you. He said that this just makes sense to take folks from a state program and merge it with the federal program. It saves costs and cuts down bureaucracy. Why wouldn't we want our tax dollars we pay to Washington to come back to Minnesota? So I agree with Representative Zellers. I agree with Representative Gottwald and the House Republicans who proposed this last year. I just don't understand. I mean, they voted against our solutions we've offered all session. They voted against the governor's solutions all session. I would hope they wouldn't vote against and not support their own solutions that they have offered. So I think this is the way we can go to end the session. This is, as Representative Thiessen said, a solution that was brought forward by Republicans last year. The policy remains the same. We actually get a better deal than we did last year because more tax dollars of our own coming back to Minnesota. It's good for our hospitals, our doctors, for Minnesota families and their health insurance, and it just makes perfect sense. If we can get agreement on this, I think we can get to the end of session.